Hello and welcome in to Football.Fun with Laird. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Football.Fun once we go live. Here today to talk about the first 10 players to be on the platform. Now, we know that there are going to be 100 players in the first phase of the pro version of Football.Fun, and all the fun starts this week. And I've been lucky enough to be given the incredible responsibility of revealing the first 10 players. Now, I want to be clear that the first 10 are not necessarily the best 10. They're not considered the 10 best players on the platform, but they are just the first 10 that we're going to reveal. And it's as simple as that. Thanks everyone for coming in. I feel like I might be a little choppy. If you guys could just let me know. Not that there's anything I could ever do about it, but it just seems like it might be a little bit. But anyway, I did an exercise last week where I guessed the first 100 players, which we'll find out about next week. And one of the 10 players that we're going to reveal today was not on my list of 100. Now, that was definitely more of a me problem than anything else. Man, sorry, my stream apparently is just kind of dying here. Let me see if I can try some things here. Appreciate you, Sebastian, for telling me. Piat says my voice is okay. All right. I don't know if that's better or worse, to be honest. Let's see. Let me try something else here. Maybe that helps us a little bit. Probably not, but James said it's all right. Sebastian, better okay. All right, we'll see. We're going to plow through and then eventually just do another video where I have to do the whole thing over again. But the way that I'm going to reveal is it's not going to be, I'm not going to tempt you guys here and hold you for 3 hours just so you watch, but we are going to delay a little bit just because that's how content goes these days. And so the way that, again, Football.Fun is going to work for the season, or for at least, for the first phase. Like I said, 100 players to start. And then I believe it's going to be another 100 players later this month. It's August 5th right now. And so once the top 5 European leagues are fully up and running, we're going to have pretty much the full player base that we'll have for the season. And then we just get to go wild. And there was an announcement yesterday, I believe. Let me see if I can pull it up here for everyone. About the pack sale this week. And the pack sale is available to those who were able to participate kind of early going. And it's going to start today. In fact, very soon it's going to start. But one of the things that that Football.Fun is being very specific about is just because the pack drop, or the pack sale, starts today. If you're eligible for buying packs, you have 48 hours to do it. There's no reason to rush. The first packs aren't any better than the last packs. There is enough allocation for everybody. So there are some steps that need to be taken in order to get your packs. And so it's okay. We can settle down. I know we're all very excited to get going here, but we do want to make sure that everybody understands that they have 48 hours and we'll be okay. So as the explanation there, like I said, starts at 3 p.m. UTC today. That's August 5th for 48 hours. And then phase 2 will start on Thursday. And basically unsold packs from one will go to the other. And it'll go until, like it says there, and after 24 hours or when they're sold out. And so then the pack reveal will be Friday. And that's when you can see what's in your packs. And as we learned from Adam in a previous stream here, and probably every stream that he's done so far, you get 4 random players from the top 100 in the pack. And one of the cool things we were talking about is how even if you get kind of like one of these bad players, they're a top 100 player in the world. So we get to play a game where we know who everyone is, and getting the news on these players is usually quite easy. And So even kind of bad players from the pack, certainly from this initial pack drop or pack sale, are going to be elite players in the world. And so it's 4 random players, 2,000 shares per pack. So there was some confusion, I think, early on that there was 2,000 shares per player, but it's 2,000 total per pack. But it's also not necessarily just 500 of each, I believe. And so it is, and then it's 20 USDC on base for each pack. And everybody has a specific allocation amount that they are eligible for. That will be available on the site, I believe. Well, basically, when you go to buy your shares, you'll know how much you're able to buy. That doesn't mean you have to buy all of it, but it's what you are eligible for. And as this last line is very clear, this is the earliest access to players on the platform. So everyone who basically trades after the pack drop, the pack sale, I don't know why I keep calling it a drop, is basically getting in early. And if there's anything that we love, it's getting in early. So that's the key with those players. Now, I'm only going to reveal 10 players today because that's all they're letting me do, which, is fine. And again, I had an exercise on last week sometime over on the FDF with Laird YouTube channel. If you are watching this on YouTube or X, you may be watching it on my main channel, which is just Andrew M. Laird, or on X, Twitter. If you would be so kind to go over to Football.Fun with Laird, it's FDF with Laird on YouTube, and subscribe there. Much appreciated there. Now, the introduction of players into the pro game will also feed into the free version of the game, meaning those are going to be the same players that if you play the free version, you're going to be trading those players. Those are ones that will be eligible for all of the fantasy tournaments. And so this is the beginning of the real Football.Fun game. And it's really exciting because we don't have many opportunities to start a game at its infancy. It's like a lot of times people are, you get in early, but you're not there at the beginning. And I think Football.Fun has the potential to be an absolutely massive game. And frankly, one of the things that Adam mentioned in our last stream was football is not the only sport that they would consider for the future. Now, I don't believe there are any actual movements right now to expand to the other sports yet, but they want to get the football game up and running. But I think the concept of the game is incredible. And I think it's going to be really popular for a lot of sports, and because people love to trade and they love fantasy sports, and it's a great combination of all of those. And so like I said, we're getting into the beginning, and that seems really fun, especially because a lot of us, probably most people who are watching this video, participated in the run up to the Champions League this year, and we got to kind of play the game that way, figuring out how to trade, how to get yourself in the best positions in each tournament to maximize the amount of gold you won. And then that got wiped, and then we did it for the Club World Cup, which was a whole different kind of trading environment, because we knew the further that teams went into the tournament, the more that we were able to see the value of those players. I discussed previously about how I went really heavy on Real Madrid early on, and just as they continued in the tournament, there are only so many players that you can play, and so people are more interested in that. Now, I do think that the trading regularity may be I think it'll be very different actually once the pro version launches, but even the trading regularity of the free game, because we don't have an end date. And I think that part of the way that the lead up into the Champions League tournaments and the Club World Cup tournaments, people knew that there was an end coming. And so you could be either, you could be riskier, you could take bigger holds on certain players, just kind of hoping that they would increase as the tournament went on. Cole Palmer ended up being the highest scoring player for the Club World Cup final. And I'm not sure we're going to see the same type of in and out trading, tournament to tournament that we did see in those. Now, that doesn't mean people aren't going to trade all the time. People love to trade, and they're going to try to kind of take advantage of, maybe they recognize some market inefficiencies, or they know a certain player or group of players have really good matchups coming up, and they just want to be the first one, whether you're thinking a few weeks ahead of time or just a few days. There are always going to be opportunities that people find. And so that's one of the really exciting things for me, is the scouting element in terms of matches and matchups in the short and kind of medium term. Being able to scout those is a huge advantage in the game. And I think it's just something that it's going to be really fun to see. And so the way that I've been kind of preparing is mostly just seeing, kind of like trying to figure out who the first players are. There's no advantage to knowing who the players are ahead of time, because we all kind of, everybody who's going to participate in the pack sale gets their packs at the same time. But just being able to know, or being able to kind of consider who the early players are, looking at their first matchups of the season and maybe getting in on those players early to have more success in tournaments, get more tournament points, and then you're just kind of off and running. And so one of the things that we went through when I was trying to like guess the top 100 players is basically trying to figure out the breakdown of positions. Now, the idea that I had, at least, stemmed from basically how many of the first 100 are going to be goalkeepers. Now, it's not fair. Sorry, 1 second. So it's unfair how I feel about goalkeepers, but it's just how I feel. And so I generally, and I said this to Adam, that I just don't love having to play goalkeepers in a lot of fantasy games, because it just feels like a lot of the ways that goalkeepers make impacts in real life games don't necessarily translate to fantasy games, and vice versa. They could have really good scores, and it doesn't feel like they're really doing anything. The 1 save clean sheet is not going to get you as many points as the 10 save clean sheet, but it's also, they're just not exciting. And I'm sorry, it's football, and guys who get to wear their hands, it's just not as exciting. And so when I did the top 100 list, instead of doing 25 players at each position, because we have goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, and forward, I decided to do 30 outfield players. So each. So 30 forwards, 30 midfielders, 30 defenders, and 10 goalkeepers. And the only reason I did that is because it felt more reasonable once Adam kind of admitted that one of the mechanisms they have for the fantasy tournaments is, if there are not as many players in a certain position that are available, they could lower the number of players who win the highest tournament points. And so we saw that in the Club World Cup, where they, instead of doing the top 5 of each position, they did top 5 for forwards, midfielders, and defenders, and only top 3 for goalkeepers. And so I took that and ran with it, because if there was any way that I could, nicely slander goalkeepers, it was to not list as many as I needed to. And ironically, I think we ended up talking about 11 or 12 goalkeepers instead of 10 during that stream. But it is what it is. If you're interested in that stream and kind of the thought process of how I got through the first 100, it's on that Football.Fun with Laird channel that some of you may be watching this on. So I will say right now that within the first 10 players that we're revealing, there's 1 goalkeeper. And that made me happy. Now, you're not going to get 4 doesn't easily divide into 10. So we weren't going to have the same number of positions anyway, but we only have 1 goalkeeper, and it is a player that was on my top 100 list, which I don't know if I'll have to end up trying to guess the next 100, having to then go and figure out like 40 goalkeepers or 15 more goalkeepers just for the top 25. It's just, I'm sorry. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, so the really interesting thing about going through that top 100 list is, and I can pull it up I just have like a basic spreadsheet that I used for the stream, which wasn't all that exciting, but it did allow me to kind of just like easily get my thoughts down. But there were kind of like certain players that that you knew would definitely be on it. And then it's like, all right, well, who makes the top 100 after that? And I think what was actually really interesting is after the stream, it was like, okay, they're going to have to do another 100 after this. And you could look at this list of the top 100 and say like, oh, this guy's not good. You know, like it would be a bummer to get a lot of his shares or whatever it is early on. But ultimately, whoever made this list is probably going to be in the top 200 anyway. And I think it would actually be very surprising if they weren't. Maybe there's one or two that, you know, we got to the end of the stream and we're just like, I don't know if this guy really fits in. Transfers can obviously throw this for a loop. Guys who may end up moving out of a top 5 European league and into just one that's not covered in the game. And so it was a really fun exercise to go through that. And so for the top 10 players, I put together this just some clues that we could go through, because I think that's going to be part of it. And so here's a map. I'm a big map guy. And so I put together a map of where the players were born. Now that's going to start to give away, maybe not give away some of the players, but it'll give us a better idea and let you guys guess for a little bit. Transfers and injuries will play a main role in overall predictions changing. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And it's obviously very tough to have to guess or to basically implement players in a game that is based on them playing in a top 5 league, and then ultimately they transfer. And so the transfer window is going to be open before, I'm sorry, the transfer window will remain open as the top 200 players are determined. And so I don't envy Adam and the team at all with the here are all of the players and just hoping that they all stay. But it is kind of a risk that we all know. And Adam described in our last stream about kind of like what happens if a player does end up transferring away, whether it's to a different European league or, you know, knock on wood, some sort of Saudi team. But I think I have full trust that the team will be able to get a list together of players that are going to stay. Mostly because if they're, you know, great players like that, I think we would all prefer that they stay in the top European leagues. So if you look at this map here, the red stars are represent the birthplace of these players. And I'm going to be fully transparent here that not only did I not make this map, I also didn't like quadruple check the birthplaces of all of these players. And so, you know, if a star is a little bit off, you know, this isn't like the geo-guessing game or whatever it's called. But anyway, as we see, we have one player in South America. There are none from North America. There are none in Asia. Now, again, this is just the top 10. It's not the top 100. We have one player from Africa, and then everyone else is in Europe. How accurate are your star placements? They're not that accurate, Mike. I mean, I think they're accurate enough. I'm not going to like say that I'm not Magellan, but they're all here. And as you can see, we've kind of this looks like 3. There are actually a couple more in here. And so it looks like some people in the live chat are already guessing who some of the players are. And then here's the one all the way down in South America, which I don't think necessarily gives anything away. But these are the birthplaces of the first 10. And you can start, you know, thinking of what they are. And looks like a couple are a bit off. Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't know. You don't know who they are, at least in the same country. I mean, ideally, honestly, I was just going to take the capitals of each one. But that didn't seem fair to you guys. So don't worry. There's another map. And the other map is just of Europe, because all of the players are only from Europe's top 5 leagues, so where they currently play. So this map that I'm showing, David, you can guess all you want. But here's the second map, and this is just the current clubs of the top 5 players. And so what we know about Football.Fun is that the players can come from the Premier League in England, La Liga in Spain, Serie A in Italy, the Bundesliga in Germany, and Ligue 1 in France. Now, you can see that there may be some heavy concentrations in England, which you would notice is correct. And so the Bruno Fernandes a bit far north. Maybe. I mean, if it's Bruno, there was a Portuguese player. And maybe I just gave one away. Who knows? But so these are the places where the current clubs are. So admittedly, we are heavy England, at least for the top 10. Now, there's no minimum or maximum number of players who can come from a certain team or league. I don't expect us to have, like 11 Manchester City players in the top 100 or top 200, but there's no actual requirement, I don't believe, that we have a certain number of players from certain leagues. Now, I think we can agree that there are probably more players on probably more players in England. I mean, the Premier League is the most popular league in the world, and so it's understandable that they would have more teams or more players, because kind of the idea is not only do we want the best players in the world, which anyone who is a Premier League stan would say that's where they are, but you want popular players. And so there are popular players in England too. And so you see some stars there. I'm going to give one away right now. And by giveaway, I will say that Kylian Mbappe is not one of the first 10. Now, that could be because we all just sort of assumed Mbappe is going to be in the game, and maybe he will be. But as of this reveal, he's not it. And so you could think about like his teammates, and Mohamed Kudus is an interesting choice. That would be quite something if that's where we went. But the way that we're going, I don't think Kudus quite makes it. And I appreciate, we got a Lewandowski shout. Okay, all right. Andy Mack is guessing Cole Palmer. Was there another guess somewhere that I missed it? And everybody, yeah. Apparently the African star makes you guys think it's Mohamed Salah, which, I mean, if you were guessing the top 100 players in the world, I guess you would obviously put Salah right behind Harry Maguire here. And I think that would be fair, to be honest. But anyway, so I can't even make like a Harry Maguire joke without kind of chuckling at myself. Excuse me. So Maguire is a no-brainer. So what's funny about it, excuse me, when I was putting the top 100 list together, I put Maguire on it. Admittedly, it was a joke. And excuse me, I don't want to offend anybody by saying that was the case, even though it was. But then I also left him on there. And so forever in the history of Football.Fun content, Harry Maguire is going to be on a list of the top 100 players in the game, which I don't think is a bad thing for someone like Adam, and for the rest of us, who knows? Who knows? Anyway, sorry, I swallowed a little wrong there. So because I love goalkeepers so much, I'll reveal the one goalkeeper who's in the top 10. Now, as a reminder, if you are playing the game, so Legendary said, I'd argue Maguire is top 100 ever. Wow. Marmouche is actually from Cairo, so probably him instead, actually. Wow. The slander is amazing already. But so as a reminder, in the actual fantasy tournaments, I think once everything is up and running, the top 5 forwards, midfielders, defenders, and goalkeepers win tournament points each tournament. That's the 5 highest scoring ones. Just because that's the case, you don't have to have guys from each position. Now, if you are somebody who's like, man, I want to take this anti-Laird strategy and only have goalkeepers, you can do that. There's no set lineups that you have to decide on every tournament. All you have to do is own shares of a player, have active contracts, and that's all you have to do. And so if you don't want goalkeepers, you don't have to have them. Now, doing that obviously reduces the opportunities you have of earning tournament points. But sometimes people are so stubborn that that's okay with them. And so congratulations to Mike Baston for guessing the first one, Alisson Becker from Liverpool. So he is the Brazilian, yes, in the top 10. Excuse me, in the first 10. I don't really want to keep calling it top 10. But he is the first one. Sorry, I ended up sharing that weirdly. And again, there's a goalie. He's the first one. I think you can make the argument that there are we go, giving him his respect. There are lots of great goalkeepers out there, and we're going to have them in the game, but Alisson is our top one, and he is the Brazilian rep and one of the Red Stars in the UK. Now, the next player, I'm going to do the three defenders after this, and we'll just move up the pitch as we do. But the next player is one who Alisson knows quite well. And it was the Star being that far south that did it. Ooh, I like Mikey Baston on the big geography train here. So the next player is somebody who is very familiar with Alisson, because they played together, or they did play together. They no longer play together. And he is also one of the Red Stars born in England, but he is not one of the Red Stars that plays in England, because Trent Alexander-Arnold no longer plays for Liverpool. Sebastian on that one. Way to be. Andy guessed Van Dijk before I gave away that he no longer plays with Alisson. So Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously the big move from Liverpool to Real Madrid this season, had an okay Club World Cup. Obviously, it's going to take a little time to adjust to his new team. And there was obviously I don't think there was any doubt that he was going to be in the top 100. His role at Real Madrid from a fantasy perspective is kind of, a bit unknown. A lot of his value comes from taking set pieces. It's unclear kind of what his full role on set pieces will be for Real Madrid, but there's no doubt that he deserves to be in the top 100 players. And again, this isn't the top 10 of that top 100, but there are plenty of people out there who think he's the best right back in the world. And so if those people are out there and they want to buy shares of Trent Alexander-Arnold, your opportunity is coming very, very soon. The next player is one who is a little further from on the Bourne map. It was a little further from England. And that being said, he is on, actually, should we bring this is the team map. Let me bring the Bourne map up again so that we're not going to check off what we have, but let's see here. So Mike Basson was correct by guessing this Red Star. This is the Bourne map, was Alisson. And Trent's somewhere up here. And so this next player is not in England on the, this next defender, is on the, not in England on the birthplace map, but he is in England on the club map, the team map, I believe I called it. Let's see, team, there we go. So we had Alisson, who is up here, Trent right there. And so this next one is Manchester City's Josko Gvardiol. Now, Gvardiol is one of the best defenders in the world. And I don't think that there's any question about that. The pep roulette tends to not affect him as much, even though we all know it's there. But when he plays, he's incredible. And the ability to play center back and left back, he obviously plays internationally as well. And again, there's no doubt that he deserves to be on this list. He was on my top 100, as were Trent Alexander-Arnold and Alisson, but Josko Gvardiol next on the list. So that is 2 defenders and a goalkeeper so far. The next goalkeeper is one that was not on my top 100 list. Now, it was absolutely more of a me issue. And I remember even seeing his name and thinking like, oh, I'll come back to him. And then was actually wondering if one of his teammates should have been on the list. And that didn't even really feel right. And I think the reason that I didn't end up putting this player on the list, this is somebody who is neither born in England nor plays in England right now. But I think he's just one of the most overlooked players in the world. And so the fact that he is going to make that top 100 is completely justified. And the fact that he is in the first 10 is hopefully going to put some respect on his name, respect that a lot of people have been ignoring. And so I'm going to blame all of the Harry Maguire stuff on Amir Rahmani not being in my top 100, but the Napoli center back absolutely deserves to be in the game and will be, I think, honestly, will continue to always be one of the more overlooked defenders. It's going to be one of those that people pull him out of the pack and they're like, oh, and then he's in the top 5 for tournaments, and they're like, oh, okay. Now, the reason I didn't go with Rahmani is because I've had a soft spot for Alessandro Buongiorno, mostly I think because I just love that his last name is literally good morning. But Rahmani, who plays internationally for Kosovo, is going to be, again, I think he's going to just be really overlooked. And the fact that we get to talk about him on this stream when we're talking about the first 10 players and those who represent 10 of the 100 best players in the world is totally justified. And so that's our back line, basically. Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Amir Rahmani, and Josko Gvardiol. Now, I appreciate that not everybody finds goalkeepers and defenders overly exciting. Defenders more than goalkeepers, of course. But the next group is obviously going to be the one that's a little more fun. The midfielders and forwards that everybody loves to talk about. They're the players that we're all going to look for when we open our packs. It's all the players that we hope we're going to see. And honestly, I haven't seen the pack reveal yet, but I do know that everybody who has seen it just absolutely loves it. And I think it's one of those things that obviously the point of this game is fun. The game is literally called Football.Fun, and these reveals are something that we can all appreciate are really fun. And so that's going to be part of it. So amongst the list that we have left, and let's see. So we have, obviously we did the star down here. We still haven't figured out who our African representative is, and we're working our way through Europe on the born list. For the next 3 midfielders, 2 play in England and 1 plays in Germany. Now, I did see a few people were guessing kind of on the tweet announcing this stream. The midfielder from Germany that I was expecting is on the list, but then I saw a name of another and I was like, oh, wouldn't be against it if he was on that as well. But so the first one from Germany, if anybody wants to guess while I pull it up here, I think it's probably pretty obvious what team they play for. Because it feels like all of the best players in Germany just play for Bayern Munich. But the conversation for me is basically Maxime's guessing Harry Kane, which I thought I said these were midfielders, but maybe not. I actually thought it was going to be Michael Olise, but it's Joshua Kimmich. Now, nobody is going to argue that Kimmich doesn't deserve to be on the list. All right, Maxime. I'll let you get away with that one, although maybe not for being late. But anyway, there's really nothing anybody needs to say about Joshua Kimmich. He's essentially a household name at this point, despite not being like a high goal scoring player. And but he is an absolute superstar for Bayern Munich, and obviously would be in the top 100. And the fact that he is in the top 10 is great. And I was just about to say, I think I didn't want to I didn't give away that Olise is not here, but we only had one star in Germany. And so I don't feel quite as bad giving that up. And yeah, Kimmich is just a fantasy monster. Maybe he's more popular in fantasy football than he is in IRL football, but he's going to be plenty popular on Football.Fun just because for the whole varieties of reasons. So Kimmich is our first midfielder, and the next two are in a different league. Now, visiting our league, our current clubs as well. The next two are in England. They play in England, but they are not both from England. So they have different stars on our team map. Oh no, excuse me, on our Born map. But they are both European. And so giving us another Premier League player, Bruno Fernandes, or Fernandez if you just want to read it in English. Manchester United, plenty of talk about potential moves to Saudi, and yet every time it comes up, it seems very quick that he comes out and says, I just have no interest. And anybody who is a Man United supporter is going to consider him easily one of the best players in the world. There's no doubt that he was going to be part of Football.Fun's initial wave of players. And so Bruno Fernandes is here. Mike was guessing Rodri and Bruno Fernandes. I will tell you that it is not Rodri. And the Rodri situation is actually a quite interesting one, not so much because of Rodri now, because he's fully recovered from injury. But Adam and I kind of touched on this a little briefly in our last stream about what you do with players who are injured at the beginning. And so I don't think there was a firm answer on that, but the one that pops up to mind kind of right away is Jude Bellingham. I'll give away Jude is not in the first 10, but the people are going to be interested in getting shares of Jude, even though because of his shoulder injury, he's going to be out for months. But it doesn't feel like you can have a game that says, hey, we have the best players in the world and Jude Bellingham is not there. So it'll be interesting to see kind of like where he fits in, because he's not going to play for a few months. But again, people are interested in him. The next one is a blue in the Premier League, not a red. And give me starters only. Yeah. I mean, the nice thing is we don't even need to worry about whether they're starting, since DNPs, I mean, they exist, but we don't have lineups ruined because of DNPs on Football.Fun. But anyway, this next player is not from Manchester, but he is blue, and that's Cole Palmer. who somebody mentioned earlier. Let me give them props for it. Andy Mack knew that Cole Palmer was coming. And so there he is in the blue number 10. And speaking of Andy Mack, during the pack sale, how many players will be able to pack? Is it going to be these top 10 or the top 100? For the pack sale, they'll be the top 100. It's not going to be just these top 10. And so you're going to get four players with a total of 2,000 shares. The share amount is not equal. And so you may get more shares of one player than the other. And then once trading begins, obviously you'll be able to accumulate individual shares, not based on those packs. And so the three midfielders we have: Joshua Kimmich, Bruno Fernandes, Cole Palmer. I don't think there's any reason to argue any of them in terms of whether they deserve to be on this list, because of course they deserve to be on it. Sorry. They certainly deserve to be in the top 100, and they are in the first 10 that we have. Now, the last three that we have here, it's going to be the three forwards, and two of them play in England. None of them were born in England, and one is in Spain. Now, we already have a number of players, or we already have, multiple players from the same city. And now we are going to have multiple players from the same club, because one of our forwards is Erling Haaland from Man City, who joins his teammate Josko Vardiol in the first 10. And I think there's, whether you are a fan of goals or big chances missed, you're certainly going to know Erling Haaland. And while he doesn't always have the best kind of peripheral stats when it comes to fantasy scoring, he's the one that scores the goals. And so I will always continue to kind of examine Haaland's value on Football.Fun, because he seems to be, he's obviously very popular. People love goals. And so Maxime said Haaland is an instant sell, if you ask me. So the way that the thing that makes me the most curious about Haaland is how much of his popularity keeps his value up versus the possibility that he has to score 4 or 5 goals in order to get into the top 5 forwards for each tournament. And so it'll be a bit of a polarizing one, because it's cool to own a player who scores a lot of goals. But it's also cool to own shares of players who actually get into the top 5 of their position each tournament. So we'll see what happens. The next one is another player from England, meaning, excuse me, another player who plays in England. It's another player who has a teammate who has also already made the list. And he said it's cooler to earn rewards. Yeah. And so the player we started with, is a Brazilian playing in Liverpool. And now we add an Egyptian playing in Liverpool. So shout out to everybody who guessed Salah earlier. AJ on this one as well. Little Marmouche nudge earlier. He did not make the top 10. The first 10. I have to correct myself, all of that, because again, Football.Fun is not kind of determining who the best players are. We're not revealing this in any order as if these are going to be the 10 most valuable or popular players on the game. But the way that, so these are just 10 players from the 100. Don't take anything else into that. Got to pay attention to the upcoming fixtures before those sales. A good point. That's a good point, regardless of who it is. But obviously, if Haaland is up against, 3 kind of like lower table clubs in the next 3, maybe you take your chances that he scores 1,000 goals against them. So Mohamed Salah on the list as the 9th of our 10 to reveal. Now, going through our, let's see, let's pull up our, no, I want this map. And this is the one that I zoomed in on for, oh no, hold on, sorry. Current clubs. I don't know why this one's like so zoomed. There we go. Birthplaces. So we have one final player. And this player was born in the same country that he plays in. And I think everybody is going to be unsurprised by who it is, despite how young he is. And that's kind of a thing that will probably follow him around for quite a while. Just how unbelievably good he is for only being 18. And he's only been 18 for about a month. And Lamine Yamal from Barcelona is our 10th of 10 of our first group of players. Now, there's no question that Yamal deserves to be honest. And I did see some Rafinha talk earlier, which Rafinha surely makes the top 100. I say surely as somebody who didn't put the list together, but surely he's there. And I would even argue that Rafinha is quite the overlooked player despite being very popular. But Yamal is going to be the player that lots of people, and obviously not financial advice, but we're going with a max buy comment here. And frankly, none of this should be taken as financial advice. But the opportunity to get, arguably, Yamal is certainly one of the best players in the world. Whether he is the best player in the world, anybody can kind of make the argument if they want. But I think that there's no doubt in a game like that can benefit, or that longevity is a benefit. You know, obviously the younger that players are, the more that the longer you are able to have them in the game, and the more shares you can accumulate over time. And I think Yamal is just going to be that guy. He's him. And so Maxime said, I asked Adam for only Yamal packs. I think we would all do that. I think we would legitimately all lifetime utility this time for good. Yeah, I think that it's what we want. We want to be able to have these players for as long as we can. And Yamal, just based off of his age, with in how good he is, it just seems like the number of Ballon d'Ors that he ends up with, you know, could rival Messi, and well, Ronaldo doesn't even have that. I mean, he has plenty, but just he's already in the discussion. And so I'm really glad that he's in this first 10, because it would almost feel like a slight if he wasn't. And not to say that, again, not to say that these are the top 10 of the top 100 or top 200, but they are elite players, and they will be in the packs that people get to open, whether it's the pack sale or when they win packs from the tournament points. These are the types of players you're going to be able to get. Now, if you want to guarantee that you get shares of these players, you'll be able to buy them on the market. And so the opportunities that Football.Fun present in terms of owning shares of players that you want to own is incredible. And so it's all that we can ask for in a fantasy game, that you get the players that you absolutely want. And if you don't want them, there is a liquid enough marketplace that doesn't require one other person to want to buy your shares, and you can get out and then get into other shares that you want. And so these are our top 10 with a weird line down the side, but Allison Becker, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Josko Vardiol, Amir Rahmani, Cole Palmer, Bruno Fernandes, Joshua Kimmich, Lamine Yamal, Erling Haaland, Mohamed Salah. Those are them. We're going to have 90 more players in our packs this week, and then we'll have another 100 players sometime later this month, and then we just get to rock and roll. And I think the excitement, the excitement is certainly building, and I can't wait. So as a reminder, in terms of the pack sale for those who are eligible, it begins today, but we have 48 hours in order to get all of our stuff in order to buy the packs. So if you have any questions in terms of, getting your USDC in the right place, I highly recommend joining the Football.Fun Discord. There are tons of people in there who are ready to help and make sure that you are able to get what you want in terms of volume of packs based on your allocation. And any other questions of the game, you obviously can leave comments in these videos, but the Discord, which is linked in the description of the video, is the best place to get kind of your immediate answers, because the team obviously worked so hard to get to this point, and they are now ready to help everybody kind of get going on Football.Fun, which is, again, this is the beginning, and it's going to be really, really exciting. So thank you to everybody for coming. I guess congratulations to the 10 players who are in the first 10 who made the list for the first 100 in the game that we get to play very, very soon. If you are watching this on either my main YouTube channel or on X, I would kindly ask that you go to FDF with Laird on YouTube and subscribe there. That's going to be my Football.Fun content hub. And so if you're looking for videos, there'll be videos that cover a whole bunch of things, at least one live stream every week. And so this is, trying to obviously build that up, since we haven't had Football.Fun that long to talk about it, and certainly not the pro version yet. And so, it's time to get going. So thank you to everybody for coming. Could you please like, subscribe, share it to everybody that you'd like, get them interested in Football.Fun so we can all enjoy the experience a little more and with more people. And yeah, don't forget to go outside.